Okay, I think probably we'll get a few more people that will join us as the session continues, but I'll go ahead and kick us off and introduce our speakers for this evening. Hello and welcome to our virtual second Thursday lecture offered through Friends of the Cabildo. My name is Sarah Lowenberg. I'm the Manager of Education for the Louisiana Museum. Just a few housekeeping things since we're all getting used to Zoom and to this virtual setting that I hope does not become the forever normal, but is our status for now. Please mute yourself during the presentation. Somebody may mute you. It is not personal, it's just how this setting works. We can all hear each other much better than we can in person. And if you have questions or comments along the way, I encourage you to utilize the chat box. We will have time for questions and discussion afterwards, and we'll be certain to keep an eye out for questions in the chat. Also, we can try out the raise your hand on Zoom, and you can speak up your questions at the end as well. But with that quick note, I would like to introduce our speaker for this evening, Dr. Kim-Vaz Deville, who is joining us. It comes as a professor at Xavier University, has worked with the museum in the past on a past exhibition on the baby dolls, and is continuing to work with us on an upcoming project as well. And she'll be speaking on her book, Walking Raddy, The Baby Dolls of New Orleans. This lecture was originally scheduled for, I think, March 12th. So it was the first thing we had to cancel. So we're really thrilled to be able to offer it now in this new setting and host this conversation. We're also joined this evening by Merlin Kimball and Riza Bazile, or also known as Cinnamon Black. I'm really grateful to have you both here as well, and to hear your incredible expertise. So with that, I will turn it over to Kim. You are muted.
Yes, can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up? Okay, great. All right, I'm going to share a lot of information. You're gonna hear mostly from Merlin and Cinnamon about their experiences as baby dolls, but I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint, so that'll kind of keep me on, on the right path, and I'll watch our time together. Can you see the PowerPoint? Yes. Oh, great. Okay. And you're seeing. Okay. And so do you see the book cover? Is that what you're seeing, Sarah? Can you confirm?
Yes, that's what we're seeing.
Okay, great. All right. All right. So I began the idea of an anthology as soon as I began writing The Baby Dolls, Breaking the Race and Gender Barriers of the New Orleans Mardi Gras Tradition, because I did not want it to become a kind of one and done academic piece. I wanted many people to join into the conversation, and the anthology really was an evolution at the same time as the book, my ideas about it, who I wanted to contribute, and how I wanted it to be something that covered a history of Black women in New Orleans, because the struggle for rights of African Americans, and the struggle for women, and the struggle for working class people, all of those are part of why the baby doll tradition came into being. They, as women, as Black women, they occupied our foremothers, a position that was not empowered. And so we had to empower the spaces that we were in. And the baby doll tradition was one of those ways of empowering the public space and giving people an identity outside of the negative and subjugated positions that society wanted to give them. So so that's a little bit about the anthology, and I hope that you'll get it. It developed over time, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to welcome my two co-presenters. I'm presenting tonight with Merlin Kimball and Cinnamon Black, and I have to tell you, I just had the best time looking for pictures to put up, and I'm like, oh, I remember, you know, what I was looking for, what's the picture that I like of them the most, you know, and then I went searching through all the hundreds of pictures that I have, and found these two that captured them in the act of masking. All right, so back to why walking Raddy. So I reached out to scholars, asked them to write different aspects of the book, and then in 2015, there was something wonderful that happened. An art exhibit happened. I had begun to realize that there was very little visual art aside from a few photographs. And Ron Bechet, my colleague at Xavier, and I put out a call for art. And I'm hoping that some of you on the line were able, or with us today in Zoom, were able to actually see and visit that exhibit. It followed the exhibit that we had at the Presbyterian on material culture, and here was visual culture. And I could not believe the amount of response that we received. We had over 65 pieces in that show, and it was rich, and the baby dolls, you know, just participated at such a high rate. And what has happened is the baby dolls have come into their own in terms of telling their own stories. And so I wanted to make the artist statements also part of the anthology. So it became, and then I wanted the voices, and then so Cinnamon was interviewed, and Merlin was interviewed, and Merlin's interview opens the book. And so I just thought it was really important that we foreground scholarly research with the voices of the people who actually make the culture, and then have a rich visual representation of people who are seeing the baby dolls and responding through their art. These are two examples of close-ups of what was in the show. Nathan Scott made these wonderful carved pieces of the baby dolls in blue and white. And I'm so, you know, such feminine energy. We think about the Virgin Mary, we think about Yemaya in Afro-diasporic religions in terms of the blue and white. You know, we can think about the cigar sticking out as the phallic mother. All kinds of wonderful things to think about when we're looking at these images. And then we have Ulrich Jean-Pierre, who has Diane Honoré, who I think I saw sign on. The Trinity, once again, represented. So we really see the evocation of spiritual themes with St. Augustine Catholic Church in the back. And the yellow, of course, is Oshun. And Oshun with a cigar, once again, we may be looking at the phallic mother.
Kim, I'm just going to jump in to say the slides aren't changing for us. We're just seeing the one slide. I think you might have to click on each individual one or go into, I wonder.
What are you seeing?
Right now we're seeing your presenter mode, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, we don't care about that as long as we can see the
particular one.
No.
Are you seeing it now with the 6 images? Okay,
yeah.
That's where I was talking about. The response was phenomenal to our call for artists. We had all kind of art. We had sculpture. Marielle, I'm going to get it wrong because it's Jean-Pierre, Marielle Jean-Pierre sent her sculpture from France. Annie Odell has her quilting pieces. So we just had a rich response. So I'm changing now. Do you see Nathan Scott and Ulrich Jean-Pierre? You see that, okay. All right, so again, I'll just run through that quickly. With the blue and white, I was thinking of the Virgin Mary and thinking of Yemaya in terms of what spiritual forces are being represented. I mean, we can talk about all kinds of things that are being represented, but the spirit really jumps out for me as a viewer of these objects and art forms. And then in yellow, we have Ulrich Jean-Pierre, who has Diane Honoré in yellow in a Trinity scene with St. Augustine Catholic Church. And so what we have is, you know, in both of these, we are looking in many ways at a kind of phallic mother, a woman who takes on masculine attributes and parades, in the public space to assert her own authority. And then I wanted to focus on this particular. There's Diane and the artist, and I also wanted to focus on Ruth Owens and Joelle Lee. And I want to focus a minute on Ruth, who's in the pink and white, because many people thought that one of the images was Joelle. I mean, not Joelle, was Tammy Montana. And in fact, Ruth, the painter, had a woman who does roller derby as her model, because she really wanted to focus on the strength of the legs and, with all the walking that baby dolls do. And so the idea is that when the artist captures a community and the community can see itself in there, we have that really good feeling of being understood and being seen and recognized for who you are. And the cover art was by Ruth Owens, and I really liked the two women because it was evocative of the strength that it takes to parade. It's not easy. The preparation is intense, as Merlin and Cinnamon will attest in a minute about how difficult it is. I'm hoping that in this mode I can play Ruth talking about the work and meeting Merlin and what that meant for her.
New Orleans don't know about the baby doll tradition. I know you're from Kenner. Have you ever heard of them? No.
I grew up in Metairie, New Orleans. Yeah.
Well, just to specify, the baby dolls are a group of marching women in New Orleans. They march on Mardi Gras Day and other times, and their legacy dates back to the 1910s, and the Black Vice District of New Orleans, which was behind the now extinct Storyville. They were prostitutes that were called baby dolls by their Johns, and so they decided to dress up satirically as baby dolls on those marching days. They walked Raddy, danced the black bottom, and did not shy away from the knife fight if it had to be. So they represent, to me, women with that were dealt burdens and risks in their lives, but they were able to rise above these problems. And so, yes, it's a regional theme, but it has a deeper, more underlying universal theme underneath. And actually, just wanted to point out one of the baby dolls is here in the audience today. Merlin, could you stand up, please? Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. The present-day baby dolls have other pursuits in mind, such as community service, and but they have no less joie de vivre than the original baby dolls did, right, Merlin? That's right. So, and I personally, make a personal contact with the baby dolls, and that's how I think that I meet the obligations that everyone up here talks about when they talk about community. So, Merlin and I have become friends, and I think that community is important in that way, but mine is more of a personal way that I touch, and they touch me.
Okay. All right. We had a really good reception of the book. We had a wonderful book launch, and we had the book launch, and I envisioned something called Baby Dollpreneur, And so all the different baby doll groups had the opportunity and took the opportunity to display things that they make based on the philosophy and creativity of their particular groups. And we had a really great book launch. And what I want to focus on now is we were invited to go to the Louisiana Book Festival. And at that Louisiana Book Festival, some of the baby dolls attended, and they attended en masse. And I want to share with you a description of what baby dolling is today, because the anthology, the baby doll book covered history and the why and the why of it and the what of it. But I wanted this particular book to cover some of that, because after we had the exhibit at the Presbyterian and with the first book, many more people were willing to come forth and talk about their ancestors who had been involved, because its origins are so contested about, does it come from the red light district, or is it old Creole, quote unquote, old Creole ladies, who were family women and developed it, or even some people said it was only men who were masking as baby dolls early on. Those were, the origins are pretty contested. So I wanted you to hear from baby dolls themselves about what baby dolling is today. And I'm going to play Carol Harris, and I hope it works.
My son started off at 7 sewing his Mardi Gras suit, and I was told one year, why don't you take the scraps, make your dress, because that's how the baby dolls originated for me. And that's what I do in our outfits. We'll have, in today's world, we have, we go and we get our fabric. This fabric was done for another occasion. She has one occasion, and then she has, so we multi-blended. Sometimes we will come all in as one color, or as like today, we mixed everything together. We're from Uptown, Chapatula Street, born and raised. We are the children of the river, and we represent our culture as the girls of the river. Thank you.
All right. And then Carol has written a beautiful poem about what it means to be a baby doll. And she initiated a new annual event called The Blessing of the Street. And this poem, I'm going to play it for you, it also talks about what it means to be a baby doll today.
Papers got switched, so baby doll Brandy Chanel of the Creole Jam Baby Dolls. Hotel Ready. Many ask, what is a baby doll? Okay. We are the women who have been everything but truly appreciated and respected for all that we do. We are the women who have sacrificed much of ourselves to empower, support, and encourage our loved ones. We are the quiet heroes, the sheroes of this city, of New Orleans. We, collectively, the baby dolls, come together to celebrate the spirit of being a woman. Next page. That's what happens when you write fast and you don't review. Okay. We have been told stories of our ancestors creating dresses with scraps or remnants of fabric, but no more. Look around you. Yeah. I'm going off script. Look around you. Today we walk through our neighborhoods with a Raddy walk or a strut to celebrate ourselves, our ancestors, and our culture. We are and will continue to be all that it takes to keep our community alive. To each and every one of you, I thank you, and I truly thank you. Kit worked really hard, and I thank you all for being here today, and I thank everyone who had something to do with this program. And when you see me come that Mardi Gras morning, just call out to me, hey baby doll, say that wonton roulette, people.
Okay. I just have just a little bit more before we, focus, and we're really going to get into the focus on Merlin and Cinnamon. But the question is, why continue the tradition? And Elena Harris also was at the Louisiana Book Festival with and so this is what she has to say about why continuing it.
We had to walk Raddy to get here this morning. So it's good to be here. I grew up in New Orleans. I have memories of the baby dolls from a small child. I just remember them sashaying on sidewalks. I never really knew the meaning behind it, but I knew you needed to get out of the way and give them their respect. I remember the baby dolls just dancing along, singing, and blowing kisses. So growing up with a family connected to the civil rights movement, I never really fit in as maybe a cheerleader or any conventional stereotype. I knew that I had a stronger purpose, and it was sassy and ratty and all of those things. So right after Hurricane Katrina, when the resurgence of the baby dolls happened, I knew that was where I wanted and needed to be. So here I am now with a platform, especially for my daughter, and the intent and purpose of it is to preserve the culture and platform of the Black women that came before me, my ancestors. And as Ruth says, it's not just all fun and games, it's for a purpose. Don't mess with the baby dolls, because they stand for something, and the intention is inclusion for women and rights. So here I am.
All right. Cinnamon has been masking for a long time, and Cinnamon has many roles that she plays. Here she is, and Cinnamon, you can talk a little bit more about this if you'd like, and you can unmute your mic. But here she is in her many roles, with Uncle Lionel, who was very central to her in coming into the baby dolling tradition. Cinnamon? Can we unmute her mic?
There we go. Hello? Oh. Hello?
Hey, Cinnamon.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I didn't know if you had anything. I was talking about your multiple roles within not only the masking tradition, but within our historical and tourism community. And so we've talked before about how some people mix all of those things up about you and don't understand those many roles that you play.
Yes, that's so true. So sometimes I guess it's kind of confusing because of the many hats we wear here in the city.
Can you talk about some of those hats?
Well, as you know, I am a baby doll, thanks to Miss Marlene with her blessings. I've been doing that for a while, since 1974, 72 in that area. And I am a Mardi Gras Indian. And I've been doing that since about 4 years before Mardi Gras. And I'm also a tour guide, actress, and I work in the French Quarters at the Historical Voodoo Museum, and I portray Marie Laveau. And that's been since 1980 when I won the contest, and they promised me $500 and they gave me the job.
Excellent. Can you tell us something about the particular, because you shared this photograph with me, and this is a particularly special occasion of baby doll, of the costume that you designed.
Oh my God, yes, this costume that you're looking at with my group here, this design, we got this from Uncle Lionel. Sometimes as we make costumes, we get kind of frozen and we just don't know where to go from there. And he said, well, you know what, I got one. since you guys gonna be performing with the Trinity Brass Band, you're gonna be my baby dolls. Let me give you a costume. And he said, why don't you dress like the band? I was like, how are we gonna do that? We girls. He said, I don't mean dress exactly like the band, but he got on a piece of paper and he drew it out. And it was his idea to get a drum for us to have that year. And it had the umbrella inside it. And I thought it was kind of unique because Uncle Lonnie always carried his bass drum with him. And for us to have that bass drum and to wear the shirts like the Trinity Brass Band and have the black skirts and perform with them was definitely an honor. So this was his design, and he died a year later.
Yeah, I've always been so fascinated with the differences that you come up with from, because this was for Satchmo, I believe. And then what you always have a very unique look for Satchmo and a very different look for Mardi Gras. Why do you make those distinctions?
Well, Mardi Gras is tradition. It's from the heart, it's from the spirit, it's from the soul. It's part of the carnival, because we practice carnival and Mardi Gras here at the same time. Whereas if Satchmo, it's more of a city celebration for Louis Armstrong. So you have to think of the women during that era, some of the type of things that they were doing. They were stepping out of bound. They were stepping out of tradition. So they would do different costumes we come up with because of that. You know, we had the corsets one year to represent some of the red light district ladies. Then we'll have the boars, or we might have the longer gloves instead of the shorter gloves, you know, like the little girls that we normally wear and normally are.
Okay, excellent. How did you form your group?
Oh, well, it was, how would I say, it was through a lot of things we do, we don't plan to do it. My whole idea was me and about 3 or 4 little project. And during that time, my grandmother said, you're not gonna put no ball into your legs. So we ended up being Cabbage Patch Kids. You know, we got rags and we sold it up and we carried baby dolls. But I was fortunate enough once I grew up to meet Miss Marlene, and she, you know, we spoke of it, and she says, well, my grandmother had a group and I'm having a group. I was like, I want to be in it.
Okay, all right. I am going to change slides. And you also are so iconic now, so important to the Black masking Indian culture, as well as the baby doll culture, and just to New Orleans, that you have had many paintings of your likeness by many different artists. And this is the most recent is appearing on a product that we can all purchase. Do you want to tell us about that?
Well, that's a really exciting product that's been produced by the Red Bean. There's a group called the Red Beans here, and they're another masking group where they mask with red beans to decorate their costumes, and very, very elaborate costumes, very, very beautiful. And they're raising money right now for the COVID-19, for the culture, people who are in the culture, the seniors, the people who can't get food, the frontline workers. And this is one of the products that they're using, and if you go out and purchase it, the money is not coming to me, it is going straight to the culture so that we can continue to eat during these struggles that we're having during this COVID time. It's a wonderful thing. I recommend the artists. I don't have the artists in front of me because you surprised me with that, but it's, you know, you can get it at your local store. It's by New Orleans Brewing Company, and that is one of the portraits that we have. There's also a poster that they have that's at Rouse's, and there are a lot of commercials that present a lot of the artists like myself are working on for Hope New Orleans. That's coming up pretty soon. And to mention Rouse's, they have been very nice with the baby dolls because they've done a commercial in the past with us. So there's a lots of great things that's happening.
Okay. Also part of the Walking Raddy exhibit was photographs by Kathleen Flynn. And Kathleen Flynn, who's a journalist, became very fascinated with with Cinnamon and her masking. And I'm going to play that video, short video documentary that she did of you. I'm going to play that right now.
So that's going to be pretty. When I started off, I was 14 years old, and I didn't get a chance to be a regular baby doll like I wanted to be because my grandmother says, "Oh no." You see, I saw the red devil dolls, and they had red satin on. They didn't have any lace, but they had these boys. They would take it through their legs, but they were dancing down the street like nobody else could dance before. And I said, "Oh, I want to be a baby doll." She said, "Oh no, you're not putting no boy between your legs." So that year I was a rag doll.
The baby doll's masking tradition can be traced back.
I'm going to just skip a little bit over this to get back to Cinnamon.
Black Mardi Gras traditions.
Long time ago, people used to just hear about the bad stories because bad news travels fast. But today, the baby dolls are ladies who have their own jobs. They have their own cars. Some of them have their own homes. But all of them are entrepreneurs. They have their own business. They probably have 2 or 3 jobs. What they stand for is not something that you just put it on just because you want to be seen. It means that you're a lady at all times. It means you have self-respect for yourself. You have dignity. You try to do things in your community to make it a better place to live. You know, see, baby dolls is kind of unique, and I kind of liked it when I got in 1974. Because at that time, you had to be chosen to get in. You didn't just put the clothes on and come out and become a baby doll. You had to be socially accepted. They had to want you in there, and you had to ask you. Because if you put it on and you wasn't asked, back then they'd tear your clothes off or put tissue paper all over your house.
There are about a half dozen groups that mask as baby dolls today. You may see them on Super Sunday or St. Joseph's Day with the Mardi Gras Indian tribes of their ward, rolling with the Skull and Bone gangs on Mardi Gras morning, or marching in a number of Mardi Gras parades.
I was a gold digger baby doll one day, and when Miss Cato had something going on, I was a Cato baby doll. You see what happened? I lived on Esplanade Street. My house is on Esplanade Street. My front door was the 7th ward, and my back door was the 6th ward. I didn't know what to do, because if I was a Cato baby doll, well, we went to senior citizens' homes. We made pillows. You know, we did creative things. We were in the Muses Parade. But when I was a gold digger baby doll, we learned how to dance. Are you kidding? It was no longer being Miss Prissy stand up. We were dancing on the tables. We were monkey shining. That's the difference between second line and monkey shine. Because when you're second line, you're just doing it. You're just doing it. But when you're monkey shining, you're really getting down. So we learned how to do it all by being a gold digger baby doll. I guess they called me the renegade baby doll because I went back and forth. It was all right until after Katrina. Because after coming to Katrina, you can't be in 2 clubs at once that compete with each other. So Elena says, "Cinnamon, I tell you what you're going to do. I'm going to give you my baby dolls. You go ahead and run the train and make the baby dolls. And I'll make the dolls out." And you didn't know that men are baby dolls too, huh? If Elena was a baby doll, Sylvia Never was a baby doll. Those were the shoes I used right after Katrina. I used them so much the heels went away, so I put the streamers around to cover them. And those shoes will be on my grave when I pass.
Okay, so you offer so much in that documentary. Is there anything that you want to pick up for the people who are here with us to know?
Well, since I have Ms. Marlene still that's listening to this, I want to let her know from now on, I'm still going out the back door. I'm hanging out with the gold digger baby dolls. And I'm also going to keep going out the front door, and I'm going to hang out with the 7th ward baby dolls. So I'm going to be going all around. I mean, it's been a wonderful, and it's still you really look at it. It's women helping women. It's community development. It's sharing secrets, and it's teaching little things. It's teaching little things about children and senior citizens, and it's about life. And I'm so happy today that you wrote in the book and we've expanded so much. We have many baby dolls. Thank you.
Yes. For those who still have not had a chance to read the book, when Cinnamon goes into detail in many of the things covered in that clip, and I think that you all will just find it fascinating. All right, so we're going to focus on Merlin. And Merlin, if you would like to unmute your mic, and Cinnamon, keep your mic unmuted. In the book, I talk a lot about Merlin's playful nature. I have a lot of photographs of Merlin, doing what is what you do on Mardi Gras. Cinnamon calls it, the monkey shine, and Merlin sort of embodies that in her gestures and in the way she moves her legs and her body, and I just think that this picture of her with Kermit and the other baby dolls, it just kind of captures her playful spirit so much. Can we get Merlin's mic unmuted?
Okay. You got me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And also, I want to mention that Merlin's interview is the first thing that that readers encounter. And Megan Holt, who did the interview, is also here with us. Merlin, what would you like to say about the playful nature that you have when you're out masking on Mardi Gras Day, or whenever you have that costume on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, the playfulness comes from being born in the Sixth Ward. That's where the dance came from. That's where everything came from. Like sitting on the steps, the parade passed, everybody's running down the street. Your door's open, you don't care about nothing. You are gone. And so I ended up sitting on the step one day with Lois Andrews, Trombone Shorty's mom, and we spoke of the baby dolls, my grandmother, and my family from back in 1933. And she said, let's bring it back. I said, girl, you crazy. She said, girl, let's bring it back. I said, all right. So we did. And last year, I was told there were 17 sets of baby dolls on the street. Wow. But actually, when it started back up, it was just the Gold Digger baby dolls. And we took my grandmother's club's name from back in 1933. It was fun. We had a good time. And my grandmother lived to see us do it. So that was the main reason I wanted to do it, for her to see it. And she did. And I'm just grateful for that. And every time I parade, when I put that baby doll dress on, I become somebody else. And before that parade is over, or that event is over, I always point to the sky, because I'm pointing at my ancestors, telling my grandma, look at your baby, grandma, so she can see me. And I think the baby doll thing, to me personally, I feel it was sort of like the bra burning days. Where women took a bold step out. Mm-hmm. And because back then, you had to kneel on the floor, and your skirt had to touch the floor. Mm-hmm. And if it didn't, you were considered like a loose woman. Mm-hmm. So that was the part that got me, how they stepped out in those short dresses during that time. And I thought that was a step out, being bold, very bold.
I heard those dresses could be really short.
They were really short. I have the picture of them, and those dresses are really short. And considering back then, when your dress had to be below your knee, for them to come out like that, that was a bold statement, And so we've been doing it ever since. There's a lot of things that I've accomplished, a lot of things that Um, I'm glad to do a lot of stuff for the community I've done. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm just grateful that I'm just grateful that I'm here and was able to do it, you know.
Yes. I don't know if you can see the slides that I have up, but I do have the slides up of your grandparents.
I see them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted people to actually see where you come from. And I remember that when we met, I had copies of these pictures, and you were the one to identify them as belonging to your family.
Right.
They were just sitting in an archive, you know, just as, you know, baby doll maskers, but no additional information. So we have to continue to collect this history that you all create and document it. So because it is not easy. I remember Ruth Owens doing one painting of you, and it's called After the Second Line.
Right.
Because after the second, everything it takes a lot to prepare, and it takes a lot to walk, you know, through that journey, and you're really spent at the end of it. Do you want to say any more about that?
No, but I will say this about you. I want to tell you that I thank you, and I really appreciate you documenting the baby dolls, because it has not been done before. And I want you to know that I really appreciate it. And I just want to tell you thank you.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you. I feel like I have a whole new set of sisters. So I've been sisterless all my life, and now I have my sisters.
Is that the babies I'm hearing?
Yes. I hope not. We probably have some questions, and Sarah is going to ask the questions that people have been putting into the chat.
Okay. So we've gotten some great questions. I'm just going to start from the top. There was a question about who the woman is that's in the painting next to the video on your 7th slide.
That's Merlin.
Yeah.
Oh. That's an easy answer. It's beautiful.
I mean, Ruth really painted a lot of baby dolls. And then when she met Merlin, Merlin just became her muse.
Great.
That's the picture after the second line.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember. Ruth is amazing.
She is.
She is. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the picture.
That really does capture that spirit.
Yeah.
Another question, I think that Merlin, actually, you may have answered this, but how many baby doll groups are there today?
I was told there was 17 last carnival. And it started out with 1.
Yeah.
Well, the last baby dolls that we had was the Baptiste gang, and they were like in the early 60s, and it was like over, and there was no more baby dolls until Lois and I brought it back. And now it's taken off, and I'm glad of it.
And when did you start the Gold Diggers, or restart?
I'm not sure, but I think it was like 75, 76 or something like that. Cinnamon?
Yeah. 76.
76, somewhere back then. Because I know Mama Goo and all of us came out. And the Baptiste ladies came out.
Sure did.
You know, yeah. And then we brought it back again. I think it was like in the 80s.
Yeah, 1980.
We brought it back again. And we haven't stopped yet. Katrina stopped us, but other than Katrina, we've been doing it, you know.
Wow. I just want to call out this comment from Anne, who said, it's a reclamation of our innocence and sovereignty. It's a beautiful comment. And a comment about Cinnamon, the paintings and posters that you mentioned, hoping to purchase or make a donation. I believe that they're available through Where Yart Gallery and Feed the Second Line, the project through Red Beans, if there's anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly where you go and get that painting, and you can you can call some of the local Rouse stores. They have some of the paintings as well.
Oh, great. Thank you. And this question also from Anne, I'm just going to read it word for word because it's phrased beautifully. I cannot help but bring Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's new release WAP to the discussion, particularly in the pursuit and claiming of women's agency, sensuality, and sovereignty. I'm keen to know your thoughts, insights, or opinions on their latest release.
Well, I have to say, women have always had a struggle of trying to stand up for who they are and what their capabilities are. So I commend them.
From a particular costuming perspective, I was blown away by the color choices, by the visuals, and you know, actually by the absence of men, even though, and not particularly, it does the gaze. You know, whose gaze are they really adapting themselves to or performing for? Are they performing for themselves? Who are they performing for? But they were really having a whole lot of fun. And I think they also projected the idea of curiosity. Like they were even discovering. The discovery was just continuing. So I thought it really worked. Anne, what do you think?
I'm conflicted, you know. I'm Generation X, and so I'm feeling a little bit old. So I'm still grappling. I'm grappling. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from a costume perspective, though, I just thought so on point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to agree with you. I'll drink to that.
We've got to bring you together with them, you know. I would love for them to sit at your feet.
Ooh, make that happen. That would be
Plug that in.
visually incredible. Any other questions?
Flavors and sweeteners, which means
I think that's coming to mute. Okay. Yeah, so similarly, a costuming question of who designs your costumes?
I design my costumes. They come through tears of my pocket, according to how much money I have in the community at that time. And we tell you, when you make those costumes, half of the time, sometimes you can have a vision in your head of what you're gonna do. Other times you start off one way and it turns out to something totally different, tremendously well.
Cinnamon, do you want to mention the change? Culture is always changing, and you are innovating on the culture. Do you want to talk about in baby doll costumes some of the changes that you've introduced?
Oh my God, you're trying to get me in trouble. Miss Marley is there. Well, I would have to say, as coming into it, I was one of the younger dolls. Besides, we had baby girls, but we didn't have as many young ladies at my age at the time. I wanted to make it more inviting, because we were wearing satin dresses and we were wearing nice little baby doll Mary Jane shoes and things, but it needed a little extra flavor to it. So I started putting more ruffles on it. And I started putting every year, I said, well, you got to add a row of lace of ruffles to show how many years you are. And then I started decorating the umbrella. And I got kind of bored just decorating the outside. So, you know, I went to the handle, then I went to the tip. And then I said, oh, hell, well, we go on the inside of it too. So now the umbrellas are too heavy. They only last one second line, but it's been fun.
Yeah, I noticed that your queen costumes are becoming more and more elaborate each year.
Yes. Well, as you're crafting in any of the cultures, each culture has a separate identity. So I try to make sure that I don't mix the two of them. except when I first came out and I got really fussed at because I came out as an Indian baby doll.
Right.
They was like, what are you doing? That's not how it goes. The baby dolls are doing this and the Indians are doing that. So as I got tired of getting fussed at, I started to separate the two, and I tried my best to make sure that baby dolls have nothing but lace, like Miss Marlene would say, ribbons and satin, and the Indians would have stones and beads and feathers.
Do you miss that? I mean, or do you go out multiple times a day on Mardi Gras? Do you go out as a baby doll and then go out as an Indian queen?
Don't let my secret out. That's exactly what happens. I'm very, very spiritually inclined, and you know, I was taught that the baby dolls, they're part of like Oshun with the colors of yellow. You know, they come out after the bones and skeletons, which represent Ogun, Papa Legba. They represent the change of the night to the day. So they gather souls, and they're also a scare straight program that helps little children continue to stay, you know, be good. And the baby dolls, they come out when the sun rises, and they represent the mothers, the communities. You know, they take care of the babies. You know, and at 12 o'clock when that sun changes, it changes all over the world from morning to noon. Well, the spirits change. The feelings change, the energy change, and in often places like in Haiti and Saint Martinez and Brazil, that time zone changes. So when the spirit changes, some people's spirit change. Some of us feel like sometimes we're two people when we're just one person. We have multiple things going on and multiple dreams and multiple entities that's coming from our ancestors. So that since I was invited to become an Indian at 12 o'clock, my first, they're like the first time they're coming out first. So I have an opportunity to change that costume. But as for the Marie Laveau costume, well, that was something that you don't pick voodoo, voodoo picks you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Marie Laveau was married to, can you hear me?
Yes, darling.
Yeah.
Marie Laveau was married to my grandmother's cousin.
Merlin, can you say how long your family has been in the Treme?
Well, I know it's like 6 generations from Rampart to Robinson, which is like 4 or 5 blocks. My family goes like 6 generations.
Wow.
Yeah, right there. That's the reason I bought the house in the 1500 block of Dumaine. And my daughter, my grandchildren, my daughter was finished, you know, she was a teenager and all when I got that. So then I got my grandkids and they were born there. I was raised in the next block. My mom was raised in the next block, in the 1400 block. And my grandmother was raised in the 1100 block with my great-grandparents, who was Rick Asner's. My great-grandfather came here with a cousin. And every Rick Asner in the United States is related.
Hmm.
Yes. Jews.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We're Jews, honey. Because of my great-grandmother. And then it goes to my grandmother and my mother, me, my kids. We're all Jews. Because it comes from the woman, not the man.
Right.
Right. This is something we just found out. I thought I was Catholic.
But your grandmother was, Miss Marlene, tell them how old your grandmother was when she saw us in them suits. She was 100?
Oh, I don't know. She was probably in her 80s, 90s.
In the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, she was up there. But she saw it. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy that she saw that we brought it back. You know, I'm just happy she saw that. Because she says it was the most fun she had in her whole life. And I couldn't believe that. But that's what she said, so I had to believe it. And when she saw us, I mean, she started crying and laughing at the same time. Scared me half to death. Yeah, it was like that. That's my grandma. But you know what trips me out about the whole situation is that my younger grandchildren, they don't know her. They will never know her. And it's like she didn't exist. You know, once the elders are all gone, it's like they're gone.
Yeah.
It's like they're they're erased. But what I do, I talk about my ancestors to my children. And at a ma'afa, we had flower petals, and we were throwing them into the river, calling out the names of our ancestors. And two of my grandsons were standing there, Kingston and Niquan, and they took flowers and they were calling out my ancestors, which gave me cheer bumps. You know, I couldn't believe it. And so that's because I'm keeping their names and their personalities and everything alive, so that they will know them, even though they can't see them visually, but they will know them. And I just feel so bad for the ancestors that's gone and forgotten, like they never was here, you know? I think we should teach our children about our ancestors and to keep them alive through our children.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There was that time in the Black community, you know, where people had that one Bible and all the births and deaths and baptisms were,
All
you know,
that.
in that book.
That's right. That's right. Ours burned down in my grandmother's house.
You were what?
Ours burned in my grandmother's house, and nobody never did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only have a few more minutes till we end. Sarah, are there any other questions, or did we cover everything?
I think we covered all the questions in the chat.
Okay. I have
anybody has
one more thing that I want to cover. The community has experienced a severe tragedy, and I wanted to acknowledge that because the person who was so cruelly murdered was so close to Cinnamon. And, you know, we grieve for Kim, and we grieve for Cinnamon, and we grieve for Faya. And her children and her family.
The whole city.
The whole city
is grieving
and in grief.
Yes,
and,
yes.
I found this. Goodness, I hope I can read it through this thing. But I found this quote from
Big Queen
Andrew Young, and I was thinking about, you know, the murder of Kim was preceded by the murder of someone else, and so here we are in this cycle. And he was saying, this is a saying that Andrew Young, who was born in New Orleans and grew up in New Orleans, experienced Jim Crow in New Orleans, and then was out trying to motivate African Americans to demonstrate against Jim Crow laws. And he said, "We are trying to free people when we are also enslaved by a lack of background under a segregated upbringing. All of the emotional problems, lethargy, misguided enthusiasm, impetuousness, comes because we're tearing each other up because of the systemic racism, you know, that we are encapsulated in." And I couldn't help but to think that was, for me, that's my way of understanding it. But Cinnamon, you know, we all are so hurt for you and for, you know, for what she represented.
Well, thank you so much. And, you know, like, it was the whole, you know, she affected the whole city. She touched so many lives. And, you know, I feel the pain. The city feels the pain. The tribe feel the pain, because we as a whole people, we have to stop killing ourselves. We have to stop the violence. You know, we already have the corona killing us. We have the police killing us. We do not have to kill ourselves.
Yes.
And, you know, I had like a double whammy, because I got Kim, and then my cousin passed away. His funeral was this morning. So my eyes are all swollen, everything. But it was like getting slapped twice in the face.
Yeah.
You know, I just left. I went to Baton Rouge to my cousin's house, and I stayed there. And when I saw Kim, I came back home. I had to come back home. You know, it was just too much. It's too much. Too much killing. It has to stop. Please. You know, I can't take any more of that. And Kim really didn't deserve that. She was such a sweet person. I loved her so much, you know. Whew. Yes.
So I think as leaders, we all have to try to do our best, you know, because in the culture, we are being watched. So we have to try our best to try to demonstrate as much of less violent acts that we can, you know, even now as we're bereaving, you know, wear your mask, use your
I think
social.
that music has a lot to do with it as well, that they're listening to constantly.
Yeah.
I think that is like programming them, brainwashing them, and making them violent. And I think that music should stop. And maybe that would help. Because I've been trying to think of how to stop it. I just can't think of a way but to stop that music. That's one. Because it's all about violence, you know. And the people that's putting it out, that's what they want, is the violence. So they can have the killings and all that going on. They don't want anybody rapping about positive things and good things. They don't want that, you know. And it would sell, but they don't want it. They want the violence. And I just wish we would stop that, you know.
You're right.
Yeah.
The music, look at the second line music. When we play the second line music, you don't get that same feeling you want to kill somebody.
Right.
When you play that second line music, you forget about your worries.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this. You could have children in the back seat and you're driving down the street. You can try it, Kim, on yours. Put on some rap music and watch those kids. They're gonna bounce all over the walls, all over the ceiling. They're everywhere. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And then you turn it off and you put it to some old school music and watch they all settle down and be still. And they're listening.
Yeah.
It calms the children down. That rap music make them hyper and you know, crazy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, they say music calms the savage beast or something like that. I think that's true, because there's some music that make people just go nuts, and it's that rap music.
Yeah, we live in a culture of, we do live in a patriarchal culture of violence.
Right.
And you know, they're you know, the systems within systems. So we're up against you know, a huge system.
You can rally, peace. It won't help.
I want to show something. I don't know, Cinnamon, if you've had a chance to see what Vashni, when she was doing some filming, and you know, Vashni, Merlin, she took those beautiful dual shots of you, and those, and Vashni's photographs of the baby dolls are also in Walking Raddy, and she found this clip, and I want to share it with you.
You may have to change which window you're sharing. If it doesn't pop up on our screen, I'll let you know.
Did it pop up?
No, we still just see the PowerPoint.
Okay.
You might have to go back and restart screen share for a different window. Oh, another great question just came in as well. What is Raddy?
Oh, yeah. Raddy is a way of walking. In the 1940s, the women would say, do you know what Walking Raddy is? And it was, you know, I always think about it as, you know, with bounce, the booties are in the air, but with Walking Raddy, the booties are going toward the ground, the shaking and the shimmying. How do you all want to describe it?
I would have to say it's more like your attitude. You're feeling yourself.
Call your girlfriend. Yeah.
What you say, Miss Marlene?
I'm telling him to come here and bring the charger to this phone, girl.
Oh.
I'm okay right now. I got 20%. I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Well, I don't think my screen wants to share anything.
Yeah, sure.
It's charging now. I know.
Do you see it now?
No, screen sharing's off now.
Oh, that's
I'm looking
right.
at you.
Okay.
Oh.
Share.
No.
It's starting. It's saying starting.
Okay.
Screen share.
Yes, it's
Can you see?
buffering.
Can you see
It's
something?
the PowerPoint, but we'll see if it.
It's buffering.
No, you don't see anything.
Can hear it.
No.
You know what? I was going to say that I would send it, but I. Can you see it now?
It's buffering.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, here we go.
This is Kim.
You can't stop spirit. Spirit doesn't have a name, and neither does feeling. What is real is.
That was, you know. The spirit of fire, yeah, she was every bit of it.
Yeah.
Big queen cutie. Big queen. Little girls not this big, but big queen. Coochie mama. You don't bow down.
Well, we thank you, Cinnamon and Merlin and Diane. I don't know who else from the Baby Doll sisterhood here, Carol. We thank you all for creating culture, for giving us life. Because people want to say, it's all joyful, but these are rituals that are done in the midst, because of and in the midst of pain. And so we thank you for your gift to us.
You're quite welcome. But throughout our pain, we rejoice the life. We mourn, but we still rejoice the life of people that we love and everything. So I guess we'll have to start rejoicing hers. It's just too much to even bear right now.
Right.
You know, it's just too much right now. Like me, it's like double, it's just horrible. But I'm not going to say we're going to get over it, but we will be able to cope with it. And we'll be able to live with it. But I will never get over this. Never, never, ever.
Well, we thank all the presenters, and thank you, Sarah and Jason, the Friends of the Cabildo, for sponsoring Walking Raddy.
Yes, thank you so much, Kim and Marlene and Cinnamon, for sharing your expertise and your stories. Thank you to everyone for your wonderful questions and comments. This was such a beautiful discussion. One last plug, that if you would like to purchase the book, you can do so through the 1850 House Museum store and read more about these stories and this history. We've gotten a few questions about the recording and if it will be accessible. I don't know yet, but hopefully work on that. But we did record this session. Thank you all so much for joining, and thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay safe.
Bye. See ya. Bye.
All right,
See
be
you
safe.
Carnival, hopefully.
See ya. Bottles up.
By the way, can the recording be shared? Is there some way where you can find it?
I don't know the answer yet. My answer is hopefully yes, and we'll try and post it on Friends of the Cabildo or email it out to y'all since you signed up for this. but I am not 100% sure. But hopefully, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you, Miss Melina. It was amazing to hear someone like you.
You're quite welcome, honey. Anytime.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you from London.
Oh, tell her hello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you
Good
so
night.
much.
Yes, good night.
Goodbye,
Bring
Dr.
your
Thank you.
I'm hanging up now. Bring the phone to her so she can hang it up. See y'all later.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Goodbye. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Marlene.